Now I know what you're thinking. How on earth can you earn more while working less? It doesn't make sense, does it? Well, I'm here to tell you you absolutely can, and it's all to do with focus. Right, before we get into the detail, I'd like you to do me one quick favour, and that's click the subscribe button below. I'd love to be able to share new content with you every week, and that's the best way to find out about new videos. And if you've not met me before, let me say a quick hello. Now, my name's Paul. I'm an accountant, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business 3 times of my own, and I've also got over 25 years of experience at helping other businesses to grow profitably. So I kind of know what you're going through. And today I wanted to perhaps cover this subject by taking things a little bit personally. Okay, I wanted to tell you about my first business. Okay, which I'm very proud of and very fond of, even though it was quite a long time ago. So a few years ago, I was a baby accountant. I kind of been for my professional exams. I kind of worked at several firms, and I'd actually just finished quite a big role at Gillette. We all know Gillette, an amazing company. I had a really great time there. But I decided I wanted to go out on my own and I wanted to start my own business. And so I opened a shop. This was a shop down on the south coast of the UK, a place called Brighton. There's an area in Brighton called the Lanes, which is just how it sounds. It's like a little network of kind of tiny little pedestrian streets with individual shops each side, and it's really quirky and sweet. And it's one of the great attractions that the town of Brighton has to offer. So I opened a shop there called Poisson Rouge. It kind of sold homewares, home accessories, kind of china, glass, candles, barware, all of that kind of exciting, stylish stuff that you probably wanted to buy as a gift or that kind of thing. I was very excited about it, and so that's what I left Gillette to do. But if you don't know me yet, which you probably don't, you won't know this, but I'm actually a bit of a planner. Now, I don't do anything by halves, and particularly if it's something I'm going to put a chunk of money in, all of my hard-earned savings. I did months and months of planning, whether it was kind of researching the location, who the customers were likely to be, what the products I was going to sell were. I ran sort of focus groups with friends. We looked at pricing, what kind of level. All of this, I had pages and pages of research that I did before I embarked on the venture, and I kind of thought, rather cockily at the time, with all this planning, I can't lose. Well, I tell you, did I have a baptism of fire with that? It turns out that despite all my hard work and research, that the location just was a dud location for my kind of shop. I know what you're thinking. Paul, you just told us that you did research on location. How on earth did you get it so wrong? Well, quite interestingly, the area that we chose had a load of people coming past it most of the time. It was a very busy area of Brighton. But those people that come to that area of Brighton, they're largely tourists. And they weren't really up for buying kind of stuff for the home, particularly most of that stuff that's aimed as gifts. And some of it was kind of quite heavy and bulky. And you can imagine if you're down for the day, you're not going to buy something heavy and lug it around all day. It was a huge costly mistake, which I tried so hard to overcome. Okay, in fact, I found myself working harder and harder, longer hours, trying different things. I never saw my family. I couldn't see the wood for the trees. I was so focused on every day. I thought, maybe I'll try selling this, maybe I'll try selling that, maybe I'll drop the prices, maybe we'll run a promotion, maybe we'll give everyone a free glass of wine when they come in. A number of things that we tried, and it was a real shock at the time, because this was the first thing that I'd done that I couldn't make better through hard work. I've always been somebody who works very hard at things, and kind of academically, I started off being kind of average, maybe a little bit above average, but through hard work, I'd always managed to kind of be top of the class, and that's all it was, purely hard work. I kind of, compensated for kind of being average, having average intelligence with hard work, and that seen me through, the early stages of my career, through all my studies. But this was the first thing that I'd done that the harder I worked, it didn't make any difference at all. And I couldn't understand it. It was such a bitter pill to swallow, to be honest. I didn't know what to do. But the reality was the location was so wrong versus what I was selling that all these little things we did, they all made a little bit of a difference, but it was nowhere near enough to make the difference in terms of making a profit or not. And so that was a really difficult experience, and it kind of worked out in the end, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But it was a real shock for me as a I guess a novice entrepreneur. I'm really keen to know your thoughts, really. If you've ever have you had some experience where the harder you've worked, it's not made an effort, or you've done something which turned out to not work in business, and if so, how did you get over it? Do drop me some comments below. I'd really love to know your experiences, and anything that you did to turn things around. I'm sure we'd all love to hear about it. So do please drop me some comments below. Well, as you can imagine, where I was at that time in the business that was losing money literally on a daily basis, that I'd plowed everything into it. It required some drastic action to turn it around. But I did, certainly afterwards, when I had time to reflect on things, I came away with some sort of key takeaways, key learnings that I want to share with you, because they really helped me, and I think they will help you, depending, no matter where you are with your business, whether you're about to start out or you've been running it for a while. Hopefully you'll find these useful. So I've just got 5 things I want to share with you. I like numbers. I like 5. So let's just go through 5 things. Okay, so sometimes, number 1, this is, sometimes all you need to do is just stop, okay? Just stop and take stock. You need to get your head out of, being caught up in the day-to-day, and taking that, a step back and just taking stock, taking a look at where you are, okay, strategically, okay? And, and really working out what's working and what isn't working, okay? So that's number 1. That's really important. Wherever you are in the stage of your business, taking that time out to kind of evaluate things, to step, above the muck and bullets, makes a huge difference strategically to the success of your business, okay? The second thing is, you should never confuse activity with progress or results. And that's something that I did, that's the main thing I got wrong when I was running my business, my first business. I said I was working so many hours, working harder and harder. I couldn't have been busier. But actually, I was making very little progress, wasn't really getting any results at all. But I kept thinking, it's going to change because I'm just working so hard. So that to me is, I think, probably of these 5 tips, is probably the biggest takeaway that I found, when I had time to kind of step back and think about it. Not confusing, activity with progress, because at the time it's kind of comforting to make yourself think that the two are the same, but I'm afraid they're not. So that's the second one. The third point I wanted to talk about is, the power of focus and actually identifying what's your goal, and just the goal that is, I want to make more money. It's just too vague. I mean, you can't, my goal at the time was just to make enough money to pay the bills, but it was too vague. You need to have a specific goal, and that really enables you to focus your energy. If I'd have focused more on, a specific goal about getting to a certain level of profitability or getting a certain number of customers through the door every day, I would have done very different things to the kind of scattergun approach that I took. And so being very specific on that, we've all heard about goals and we think, ugh, but actually it's really, really important to be very specific. What's the, when you've taken that step back to take stock of your business, think, what's the 1 or 2 things I can do over the next 2 months that might make a difference. That's how to think about it. I'm not talking about goals that last for a year or 3 years. That's fine when your business is more established, but actually when you're starting out particularly, you need to be much scrappier and be more agile. And actually just having a very specific short-term goal that you can focus your efforts on will have much better results than just kind of trying a little bit of everything, okay? And then thinking about, we've just talked about focus, this brings me on quite nicely to the fourth point, and that's about having the courage to stop doing things that aren't contributing to that goal. As we've said, you can't, that is the whole point of this talk really was about, how you can work less and achieve more. And actually to do that, you've got to be ruthless. You need to be very clear on that goal, but then you've got to have the guts, the courage to drop things which is, actions, tasks that you're doing that aren't contributing to that. I'm not saying you won't come back to them later, but actually, particularly if you've got limited resources, as we all have, you've got to be bold. You've got to stop what's not working, drop what's not working. Even down to tasks that you're doing on a daily basis. Your time is so precious, and you have to spend your time doing things which are going to contribute to your goal, to make your business a success. So you need to drop things, you need to delegate things if you've got a team, whatever it is. But that all comes down to having courage to go with your gut and taking action, okay? So that's really the fourth thing. We've talked about stopping and taking stock. We've talked about not confusing activity with progress. We've talked about, identifying a specific goal that you can achieve in the next 2 to 3 months. And then we've talked about being ruthless about what you're doing and having the courage to drop things that don't contribute to that goal. So those 4 things kind of wrap nicely into number 5, which is, of course, once you've done that, you're going to make some changes, but then you need to review those changes after every 2 to 3 months. If you've got a goal that's something you want to achieve in 2 to 3 months, that's the ideal time to then take stock. When you get to that point, have I got there? Have I not got there? Am I nearly there? What's working? What's not working? What do I need to change? And just having a shorter term focus, literally a 3-month focus, particularly for younger businesses, is really helpful in my experience, okay? Taking that time to step back, say what's working, what's not working, what am I going to do for the next 3 months, what's my goal going to be then, what am I going to change, and then rinsing and repeating, as they say in the shampoo ads. Don't just do it once. You've got to build the time to do that, to have this review and changing things, and then do again for another 3 months, another 3 months. And it's only going to happen if you make that time to step back. And a good place to start is by diarising those reviews right now, so you don't forget them. You all know what it's like when you get into as we said, the muck and bullets, the day-to-day. You need to, make sure that you have the time to take that step back. So that's really the 5th one. And that's, in a way, that's almost the most powerful, because if you don't review what you're doing and work out what's working and what's not working, you can't build the business. So that's really important. And so there's, I guess, 5 takeaways that I wanted to share with you based on my experience of running my first business many years ago. And I knew what you're probably thinking. What happened to Poisson Rouge? Well, when we took this approach, we made quite a few changes to the business. We became much smarter in running promotions, and we really focused on repeat customers, okay? Those people who've come down to the shop, seen us once. This is kind of almost at the start of the internet, but we kind of, we built we designed a catalogue, a mail order catalogue. Yes, it was those days. And eventually we tried a few things, but we decided to close the store and move online. And when we did that, it really enabled us to build a repeat business, okay, which had more legs. And at the time, it felt like a real, it felt like a failure to be closing the physical shop, but actually, it wasn't. It was a blessing in disguise. We could go on, and the business kind of grew online, and that was really lovely. As I say, it was a real baptism of fire. And the things that I learned over that time running that first business, which I've shared with you today, I've gone on and used those in the other 2 businesses I've run, and we've used those takeaways in many businesses that I've worked with over the last 25 years. So well worth taking a look at those and seeing if you can apply those to your business. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to say on that. A fair bit of waffle as usual from me, but hopefully you found it useful. What I've done is actually, because there's a few points there, I've distilled those down into a simple fact sheet that you can download below. Of course, it's free, so you can download that, take it away, and think about how you might start to apply some of those to your own business. Or if you're looking to start your own business, it's well worth thinking about putting those things in place now before you dive straight in. And if you download that free fact sheet, I'm actually going to send you another free fact sheet about another topic which is really close to my heart, and that is managing cash flow. You know, how can you end up with more money in the bank as a business owner? Because ultimately that's why we're all in business, okay? And it's probably the number one question I'm asked working with businesses. How on earth can I increase the bank balance? And so what I've done is I've taken the learnings that I've got over the last 25 years, and I've distilled those down into 10 tips that you can use, 10 steps you can take to increase your bank balance, in some cases almost overnight, and they're really simple. So I'll send you that as well. I say it's all free, so do download that, and if you've not yet subscribed, please do, because I'd love to see you in the next video.